So Thorpe Park have just finished releasing their Fright Nights lineup. Well, finally, it took almost 2 weeks. Actually, I think it took 2 weeks. Actually, that doesn't even include the teasers. This took like it nearly took a month to get them all out, which is kind of dragging it on a bit. It's fine. What are my thoughts? Well, it was a great teaser campaign. It was really exciting. It built up a lot of hype for everything, and I very much enjoyed it. Now let's get into the individual attractions. First of all, trailers is coming back. Ooh, everyone loved trailers. It was the highlight flagship attraction of last year's Fright Nights, and it was one of the best mazes that the park has ever done. It wasn't the most intense or scary, but it was the most well themed. There's 2 new films being added to the Superspark cinema this year. What is it, 3? I don't know. There is 3 new films or movies coming to the Superspark cinema this year, which means 3 new rooms. Volcom Voodoo, Trouble in the Bayou, that's obviously new. You've got Nightmare on Stain Street, the sequel, very incredible, creative, original name. And then you've also got, interestingly enough, Bozo's Playzone Back to Play, which I think is interesting, just because if you've done Breakout of Bozo's, that was the entire thing. Weirdly enough, actually, the whole point of Breakout of Bozo's was that the new film came out, and they'd spread everywhere. You never actually go through the new film. So, like, which screen were they showing it on? Anyway, that's going to be replacing Bozo's Playzone, but it won't be like what Breakout of Bozo's was, obviously, because the whole point of that was that the clowns were everywhere. This will just be its own thing. It's pretty much the same as last year, but I do like how they've changed it a bit. It's not just going to be the exact same. They're making it a bit exciting. Anyway, next up, we've got The Crows of Morecambe Meadows. Now, I was very excited to see this one. It's back! It is back, officially, and it looks good. It's a really good teaser. One of my favorites, actually. I think it's a really cool one. That drawing is, haunting. I hope they expand on it a bit more. I mean, the woman does say, "This village is cursed." So could we be seeing a few buildings, like an actual village? Maybe a bit more than just the meadow? We'll find out, I guess. But I'm just glad it's back because I love that one. Then we have Birthday Bash. I don't really care. It's just back. It's going to be the same. I'm sure they'll change it up a bit, but the teaser was alright, so was the attraction. Creek Freak Unchained. Now, this is an interesting one because Creek Freaks Unchained is now a roaming attraction. So the scare zone is gone because of Exodus. It looks really good. It's a bit of a shame. When you had the scare zone, you could go and like play Scrabble with them. You kind of lose that. But there'll be a lot more chainsaw chasing, so that's exciting. And then, to top it all off, we got Creek Freak Massacre, the final cut, which I think is a very good name. It's a brilliant teaser because supposedly will be the scariest year yet. And this was and kind of still is the most intense attraction they've done at Thorpe Park. Or at least they were marketing it as that. But essentially, this is going to be what is hopefully the most intense year of one of the most intense attractions. So it'll be a very, very scary one. Then we got another scare zone, which is Amity vs. Lycan. So that's exciting. Its graduation sucks. So I think that hints that this is the last year. Yeah, it's just a bit shit. Something quite interesting, just before we continue. The Graduation Sucks video is by far the most popular of all the teasers. I don't know why everyone was so excited to see Amity vs. Lycan was back. Then we have the 3 new attractions at Thorpe Park. This is where it gets exciting because these are the 3 new attractions: the Scare Experience, the Scare Zone, and the Scare Maze, which came out last. Let's take a look. So straight off the bat, we have the Terminal. Now, this is a very exciting looking thing. It's done by some sort of other company. I'm going to be honest, and I think I speak for a lot of people when I say bit of a disappointment, and I only say that because a lot of people were expecting the Scare Experience to come last and be the big event of the year. They could not shut up about the keys and the whatnot, and then we just got this kind of side thing. I think a lot of people were expecting this experience to be the headlining attraction. It's not, but it looks really good and it looks really scary, and I'm sure it'll be a great experience and a bit of fun. Now, next up, we have probably what I'm the most excited for, the Scare Zone. Death's Door looks incredible. It is pretty much the only... Death's Door looks amazing. It is shaping up to be probably the best scare zone at Fright Nights. It's going to be a lot more interactive than any other scare zone we've had, because you're going to be able to knock on the doors, a bit of trick-or-treating. It sounds really good, and I'm really excited for it because I think it'll be a really thrilling scare zone. Because, you know, it's a bit of luck added into there, makes it almost scarier. Some doors are good, some doors are bad, and it makes it a bit exciting because you never know what you're gonna get when you give it a knock, knock, knock. Anyway, now we're on to the last part of Fright Nights, the last attraction at Fright Nights. Survival games, the new maze. I am extremely excited for this, but I'm also very, in my opinion, just speaking, stop waffling. I can't. If you look at trailers, let's say, it was a cinema from the start. You read it, it says trailers, and then you watch the teaser, and it's about a cinema, and it's gone crazy. There is a theme, a very, you know, it was cryptic in the sense that when you watch the trailers, you think, how is that going to be scary? Obviously, it is, and it makes sense when you're in it. But it has a theme that they really stick to, and it looks amazing, and it makes sense. Survival games, however. We know it's going to be behind the swarm. We know it's going to be in that shipping container. But we don't really know what it's going to be like inside of it. We've heard that it's about some sort of weird kind of Hunger Games that lets you into some elite social media group. And, you know, it's going to be really scary and have multiple genres of fear in it. But there isn't a solid theme, really. Like, when you go into trailers, the walls are, it's a cinema. There's little lights, there's cinema screens. You go into each trailer and they've got their own theme. But survival games doesn't really scream, like, what are the walls going to look like? I don't know why I'm so fussed about the walls, but I'm just trying to make a point where it's like, it's really hard to expect, like, anything. Because we know it's going to be scary. We know it's going to have multiple genres of fear. You're going to be alone, and it's going to be a very long one. But what is that experience actually going to be like? Because we know it's a free flow maze as well, but it's just hard to think because every single maze we've had so far have all had either an IP or a very solid theme. Creep Feet Massacre, it's a lumber mill. Trailers, it's a cinema. Any previous maze, it has got a solid foundation for a theme, but survival games does not say any of what it will be or what it will look like. The trailer itself is alright. I definitely think it's a lot more cryptic than anything we had before. It tells you a lot about the lore, but it doesn't really tell you about what it's actually going to be like. But it is their biggest investment to date. It's just hard to expect anything. What are we putting ourselves into when you go into that maze? Because you don't know. It's very Black Mirror-y, which I think is interesting because obviously Thorpe Park have worked with Black Mirror on things, but they haven't worked with Black Mirror on this. This is not a Black Mirror attraction. Very, very similar. It seems like an episode of Black Mirror. Anyway, it looks really good, but it also, like, there isn't much to comment on because it's impossible to tell what it will actually be like. But anyway, I digress. It's going to be scary. Very scary. Supposedly, it's going to be one of the scariest, or the scariest maze at Thorpe Park. It's going to be free flow, in shipping containers. It's an indoor maze. It is going to be big. It does not have any relation to the key or the 21st birthday. And I still think it's very funny because this is supposedly the headlining attraction. And like I said, the Death's Doors really is, out of everything in the lineup, the most connected to the theme of Fright Nights. We saw in Carnival there was an eye and stuff, and we've seen eyes all around, but that doesn't mean anything. It's just, when you actually look at the trailer, it's nothing to do with the locksmith or anything about what the teasers were. It's about a social media platform. Look, it was a great lineup, a great teaser campaign, and I'm really, really excited. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe. Like the video, so we can get 5 likes on this video, guys. 5 likes. And I'll see you very soon in my next video. Goodbye.